When a woman initiates the hug, what she's really communicating, psychology tricks. The deepest things in life are often felt, not spoken. When a woman steps forward and initiates a hug, it's rarely random, and it's almost never meaningless. Many men are taught to see a hug as nothing more than politeness, a warm gesture, a friendly moment, something casual and easy to forget. But that interpretation misses what's really happening beneath the surface. When a woman chooses to hug first, especially when there's no social obligation pushing her to do so, she's not acting out of manners. She's acting from instinct. And instinct tells the truth long before words ever do. For women, physical closeness isn't careless or automatic. Touch carries weight. It's processed through emotion, safety, and subconscious evaluation. Her body doesn't move toward someone unless her mind has already decided something important. I feel comfortable here. I trust this space. I'm open. A hug initiated by her is often a quiet test, not a dramatic declaration, but a subtle signal. She's checking how it feels to be close, how your presence registers in her nervous system, and whether emotional connection can exist without explanation. This is what many men overlook. Women don't give physical access lightly. When she crosses that boundary on her own, it's because something inside her already says yes, even if she hasn't said it out loud yet. Pay attention to those moments. They speak volumes. 1. Instinct and subconscious evaluation. When a woman initiates the hug, understand this clearly. It is never random, never accidental, and never rushed, because long before her arms move, her mind has already spoken. That is where female psychology quietly does its most precise work. She has been observing you over time, not with suspicion, not with fantasy, but with calm awareness. She notices how you carry yourself when nothing is being asked of you. She senses how your energy feels when you are not trying to impress. She watches how steady your presence remains when plans fail or conversations drift. She feels how your attention rests without pressure or expectation. Attraction does not grow in noise. It grows in clarity, and that hug is her body agreeing with a conclusion her subconscious has already reached. Don't assume it happened in a moment. Don't believe it was sparked by looks alone. Be honest with yourself. That decision formed through repeated impressions, the way you listen without rushing to speak, the way you stand without leaning for approval, the way your words arrive measured instead of performative, the way your silence feels safe rather than empty. That is psychology tricks at work. Not the cheap kind, but the real kind that lives beneath awareness. This is where people sense consistency, emotional regulation, and quiet confidence without naming it. You must understand this. Women do not move toward confusion. They move toward what feels internally organized. A hug is not an invitation. It is a confirmation, a physical punctuation mark placed at the end of a long internal sentence that says, "This man feels grounded." Be clear about that. Be calm about that. When you chase meaning too loudly, you miss the truth that already unfolded. The hug says she has tested your presence in small, unspoken ways. She has watched whether your focus feels centered or scattered, whether your interest feels warm or consuming, whether your self-control shows up naturally instead of being forced, whether your emotional temperature stays even when circumstances change. That is how female psychology evaluates safety, depth, and potential connection. That is also how attraction grows without pressure. Don't mistake patience for passivity. Be still enough to be felt. That is how to fall in love begins in real life. Not through dramatic gestures, not through declarations, but through subtle consistency that the nervous system recognizes as familiar and reassuring. Her body leaning in is not impulsive. It is responsive. It is responding to what has already proven itself through time, through repeated interactions where you didn't try to win, didn't try to convince, didn't try to rush the outcome. You must see the contrast. Men who perform seek reaction. Men who are present create resonance. Resonance is what the subconscious follows. That is not manipulation. That is alignment. That is psychology tricks used by life itself. Behavior reveals character before words ever could. Be attentive. Don't overinterpret. Let the meaning land without grabbing it. Because when a woman initiates the hug, she is communicating that your presence feels clear, your energy feels balanced, your attention feels sincere. That combination is rare enough to be felt instantly once it has been slowly recognized. This is how to fall in love often starts. Not with fireworks, not with declarations, but with a quiet physical moment that confirms an emotional assessment already completed. Be grounded, be consistent, don't chase the hug, become the reason it happens, and remember this: her body always follows what her clarity has already approved, because female psychology does not move toward chaos, it moves toward coherence, and that hug is her way of saying, without words, this feels right. 2. Types of hugs and trust. There are many kinds of hugs, and every one of them tells a story if you know how to read it. That is where psychology quietly steps in. A brief side hug, the kind where shoulders touch but bodies stay guarded, is not rejection. Don't misread it. Be calm. That hug is a social courtesy. It creates a polite boundary. It says, I acknowledge you, and I feel safe enough to be here, but I am keeping my personal space intact. That is social safety at work. It is respectful, measured, and emotionally neutral. You must understand this clearly. Not every hug is meant to pull you closer. Some hugs are designed to keep things exactly where they are. Now notice the contrast. When a woman fully embraces you, when there is no pause and no calculation, when her arms wrap around you naturally, and her body does not stiffen but softens, something very different is being communicated. This is not habit. This is not politeness. This is comfort expressed through the body. Her nervous system is relaxed. Her posture opens instead of protects. That is trust showing itself without words. And trust is not casual. Trust is earned slowly and revealed suddenly. That is why this kind of hug feels different the moment it happens. You don't have to guess. You can feel it. Be honest with yourself here. Trust is the foundation of attraction. Nothing real grows without it. Nothing meaningful survives without it. That is not romantic theory. That is human behavior. When trust enters the room, everything changes. Conversations deepen. Silences feel easier. Presence becomes more important than performance. That is why this kind of hug matters so much. It is not about affection alone. It is about emotional permission. She is saying, through her body, I feel at ease here. That is powerful. Don't rush to label it as intimacy. Be patient. Be grounded. Trust is not about intensity, it is about consistency. A man who understands this does not chase reactions. He creates reliability. That is what separates a man who tries to attract attention from a high-value man who naturally draws it. Attraction built on trust feels calm, not chaotic. It feels steady, not urgent. That calm strength is deeply appealing, especially over time. This is also where masculine energy shows itself in a quiet way, not through force, not through control, but through presence. A man who is comfortable in his own skin allows others to relax around him. His body language is open, his movements are unhurried, his attention is steady. That kind of energy signals safety without saying a word. And safety is what allows trust to grow. You must remember this. When she relaxes in your arms, she is responding to how you make her feel over time, not to what you say in a single moment. Don't underestimate how rare this is. Many people interact, but few truly feel at ease. When a woman chooses a full, unguarded hug, she is stepping out of protection mode. She is letting her guard rest. That does not happen by accident. It happens because your behavior has been predictable in the best way. You listened when it mattered. You didn't push when you could have. You stayed steady when things were uncertain. Those moments add up. That is how you attract women without trying to convince them. A side hug protects space. A full hug shares it. That difference is everything. One says, "We are fine here." The other says, "I trust being closer." And trust, once introduced, changes the entire dynamic. Eye contact lasts longer. Laughter feels easier. Time feels softer. That is why nothing genuine ever develops without trust. Desire may spark without it, but connection does not stay. Be aware of your role in this. Don't force closeness. Don't test boundaries. Be consistent instead. Show emotional stability. Show respect for space. That restraint is part of masculine energy, and it is often what allows closeness to arrive on its own. A high-value man does not need to rush intimacy. He understands that trust, once given freely, is far more meaningful than anything taken quickly. When you learn to read these signals, you stop guessing, you stop overthinking, you stay present. That presence is attractive. It allows women to feel seen rather than studied, safe rather than evaluated. That is how you attract women in a way that lasts, not by chasing physical signs, but by becoming someone whose presence invites them naturally. So don't ignore the hug, but don't obsess over it either. Notice how it feels. Notice how her body responds. Notice whether there is ease or distance. That information matters. It tells you where trust stands right now. And trust, once established, opens doors that effort never could. Be steady, be respectful, be emotionally grounded. That is how trust grows. That is how connection forms. That is how a high-value man moves through relationships without force. And remember this above all. A full, relaxed hug is not just affection. It is a signal of comfort, a signal of trust. And trust is the quiet engine behind attraction, connection, and lasting desire. If you made it this far, you're no longer guessing. You're starting to understand the difference between politeness and trust, between distance and real comfort. Most men never learn to read these signals. They rush, they misinterpret, they miss the moment. Don't be one of them. Be the man who understands that trust is the foundation of attraction and that nothing meaningful grows without it. Comment this below to lock it in. I am the kind of man women trust and feel safe with. 3. Timing as initiation. When a woman initiates a hug, the timing tells the whole story. If she hugs you before you fully step into the moment, before the situation demands it, before you do anything at all, that is a conscious decision. Timing is choice, and choice always reflects inner certainty. This is not a reflex, not a social habit. It is emotional alignment already formed. Experienced men understand this because every act of initiation carries energy and intention. As Maya Angelou said, people will never forget how you made them feel. This hug is not about arms. It is about safety. Women do not initiate closeness unless their nervous system feels settled in your presence. Not chaotic excitement, calm stability, balance, clarity. This alignment does not come from appearance. It comes from how you show up, calm, observant, without pressure, without urgency. This is where Old Stoic wisdom begins to work. Stoicism win is never loud. It is felt. It spreads quietly. When you enter a space with composure and self-control, you send a powerful signal without saying a word. She did not wait to be chosen. She chose the moment. And that choice comes from the feeling that being near you is safe. No defense needed, no tension required. This is a critical lesson for men living in a fast, noisy, expectation-heavy world. The man who wins is the man who controls his inner pace, regardless of how fast the outside world moves. As Marcus Aurelius taught, you have power over your mind, not outside events. That is the iron mind. An iron mind does not rush to fill silence. An iron mind does not chase validation. An iron mind understands that real strength lives inside. When she initiates the hug, she is responding to the space you hold, not your words, not your performance, your steadiness. In modern relationships where signals are often unclear, remember this instruction. Stop trying to impress. Learn to regulate yourself. Stop trying to be chosen. Become someone worth choosing. The nervous system always knows before logic catches up. In a world full of stimulation, the man who brings calm becomes rare. Rarity creates value. Value invites initiation. Initiation confirms alignment. This is Stoicism win in real life, repeated daily. Old Stoic wisdom teaches that mastery of self comes before all external results. Remember this clearly. When she initiates the hug, she is not asking a question. She is giving an answer. an answer to how you made her feel without speaking. That is the highest level of influence a man can reach. Quiet, decisive, enduring, built on old Stoic wisdom, proven through Stoicism win, sustained by an iron mind that knows patience is power and calm is command. 4. Male reaction and sabotage. When a woman initiates a hug, many men don't realize they've just stepped into a pivotal moment, one where instinctive reactions can quietly sabotage everything. This is where men often undermine themselves without knowing it, because that first hug is not just a simple gesture of closeness, it is a signal, it is a gentle test, and in those brief seconds, she is not listening to what you say. She is observing how you show up. Do you cling as if you're afraid the moment might disappear? Do you rush to push things further because you're uncomfortable with closeness that hasn't been defined yet? Do you use humor to mask the tension inside you? Or do you stay still, relaxed, and truly present in that moment? The choice you make will either confirm her intuition or quietly make her regret initiating the hug. This is a core truth of female psychology that many men overlook. Attraction doesn't grow when you ask for more. It grows when you can hold intimacy without rushing to take it. Don't squeeze too tightly, don't pull away too quickly, don't turn a quiet moment into a performance. Be calm, be grounded. Let your body communicate that you are comfortable with closeness, because in emotional psychology, that comfort carries more weight than 100 clever words. When a woman initiates a hug, she is listening to your nervous system, not your voice. She is sensing whether you need this moment to go somewhere before you can relax. And this difference is subtle, yet unmistakable, in female psychology. If you rush, you unintentionally signal that you are trying to regulate your own emotions through her response. If you stay present, you signal that you are steady enough not to push. Don't misunderstand this. This is not about pretending to be distant. This is not about playing cheap psychology tricks. In fact, this is one of the most effective psychology tricks precisely because it isn't a trick at all. It is alignment between what you feel inside and how you behave outside. When you can hold intimacy without gripping it, attraction doesn't fade. It settles, it deepens, it grows quietly because she feels safe in that moment, not pressured, not pulled faster than her emotional pace. And that sense of safety is the fertile ground where connection takes root. Many men don't fail because they lack appeal. They fail because they lack stillness. And stillness is something women sense immediately. A man who can remain still within intimacy is a man who trusts his own value. Don't use humor as a shield when you're unsure. Don't use rushed actions to cover anxiety. Be warm without performing. Be close without demanding. Let the moment breathe. Because when you do, you are teaching her how to experience you. This is how real psychology tricks actually work, quietly, naturally. And lastingly, if you've ever wondered how to fall in love in a way that feels effortless and real, look closely at this small moment. Love doesn't begin with grand gestures. It begins with small signals handled well. A hug she initiates is one of the clearest signals you will ever receive. How you respond will determine whether that connection is nurtured or quietly extinguished. Don't overthink, but don't disconnect either. Be balanced, be present. Show that you don't need to rush in order to feel complete. When you can do that, you don't just understand female psychology more deeply. You touch the true essence of how to fall in love. And that is something no short-term tactic can ever replace. If you understand this moment, you're already doing what most men never learn to do. You're choosing presence over pressure. You're choosing restraint over impulse. And that choice changes everything. Don't rush. Don't grab. Stay grounded. If this message resonated with you, prove it to yourself right now. Go to the comments and write this sentence exactly as it is. I stay present. I don't rush intimacy. I let attraction grow. 5. Subtle attraction and safety. Subtle attraction is rarely loud, and safety is almost never announced, yet together they explain far more than dramatic gestures ever could. You must understand this clearly. Long before words catch up, the body already knows. The body leans in. The body reaches out. The mind follows later, offering explanations that sound logical and controlled. That is why a woman may initiate a hug before she fully understands why she feels drawn to you. The pull happens first. The reasoning comes second. Don't miss this order. Don't dismiss it either, because what arrives quietly is often the most honest signal you will ever receive. This is not about bold moves or clever lines. This is about subtle attraction showing itself in a way that feels natural and unforced, and that subtlety is precisely what makes it powerful. When she hugs you first, it is not random. It is not accidental. It is the result of something registering beneath the surface. Something about you felt safe. Something about you felt familiar in a good way. Not predictable, not boring. Familiar like calm ground after noise. Familiar like steadiness after tension. Be clear about this. Safety here does not mean passivity. It means emotional control. It means presence without pressure. It means masculine energy expressed without force. That combination is uncommon, and rarity creates curiosity. Rarity holds attention. Rarity makes people pause and lean in again. You must understand that a high-value man is not defined by how much he pushes forward, but by how grounded he remains when closeness appears on its own. The hug comes first because her body trusted you before her mind finished its checklist. That is female psychology at work in its most natural form. The body reacts to tone, posture, timing, and emotional consistency. The mind later tries to label it. That is why these moments are easy to overlook. They are quiet. They don't demand anything, yet they say everything. Don't ignore subtle signals because they don't flatter the ego loudly enough. Be attentive instead. Be present, because subtle attraction is sincere attraction. It has not been filtered, negotiated, or overthought. Notice what she responded to. She felt you were manly without coercion. She felt you were steady without control. She felt you were there without leaning on her to regulate your emotions. That balance is the signature of masculine energy that attracts without pressure. Don't confuse this with distance. Don't confuse it with playing hard to get. This is not a tactic. That is an internal state. You must be comfortable inside yourself for this to register. When you are, women feel it before they can explain it. That is how you naturally attract women without forcing outcomes. Many men believe attraction must be obvious to be real. That belief costs them moments like this. The truth is the opposite. The most meaningful signals are often the easiest to dismiss. A brief hug, a relaxed pause, a moment of closeness without urgency. These are not small things. These are indicators of trust forming at a physical and emotional level. And trust is the foundation attraction stands on. Without it, everything else collapses. With it, things grow organically. Be honest with yourself here. When a woman initiates a hug, she is not testing your ability to escalate. She is sensing your ability to hold space. Don't rush to prove something. Don't try to turn safety into excitement by force. That ruins the very quality that drew her in. Be steady. Be relaxed. Let the moment stand as it is. That restraint signals confidence far more than movement ever could. This is how a high-value man behaves without trying to look like one. Rarity matters. Emotional maturity is rare. Calm presence is rare. A man who can sit comfortably in closeness without demanding more is rare. And that rarity naturally attracts women. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to advertise it. It shows itself in how you move, how you listen, how you respond when nothing is required of you. That is masculine energy expressed cleanly. That is what people feel before they think. Understand this deeply. Attraction that begins with safety has endurance. It doesn't burn out quickly. It doesn't rely on constant stimulation. It grows because it feels good to return to. That is why the hug came first. That is why it felt natural. That is why it mattered. Don't overanalyze it. Don't downplay it either. Recognize it for what it is. A signal of alignment. A sign that your presence created ease rather than tension. If you want to attract women consistently, stop chasing reactions and start cultivating stability. Be grounded in your emotions. Be clear in your intent. Be calm in moments of closeness. That is not passive. That is powerful. That is how a high-value man moves through the world. And when you embody that, attraction no longer needs to be forced. It appears quietly, it stays willingly, and it begins, more often than not, with something as simple and as meaningful as a hug she chose to give first. 6. Emotional stability and aftermath. When a woman initiates a hug, pause, breathe, because that moment is not a starting gun, and it is not a signal to rush forward. It is a quiet message about space, patience, and emotional timing. If you miss that nuance, you miss the power of the moment itself. A hug she begins often says, "I feel safe right here," not "I want more right now." And that difference matters more than most men realize. Attraction does not grow through chasing. It grows through steadiness. This is where psychology tricks often mislead men, pushing them to force clarity too soon instead of allowing meaning to unfold naturally. Don't interpret her embrace as permission to escalate. Be present. That is the test. When you can accept warmth without turning it into pressure, you demonstrate emotional confidence, and confidence is felt long before it is spoken. Female psychology responds strongly to men who can hold connection without gripping it too tightly, who can enjoy closeness without demanding a label, a promise, or an outcome. Patience signals self-trust, and self-trust is quietly compelling. You must understand that ambiguity is not rejection, it is a bridge. Most men step off that bridge too early because they rush to control what is still forming. A hug initiated by her is often an invitation to remain exactly as you are in that moment, calm, grounded, and unbothered by unanswered questions. When you resist the urge to steer the situation, you create room for curiosity to grow. That space allows her emotions to breathe, and emotions that can breathe tend to deepen. This is one of the most overlooked psychology tricks, not because it is complex, but because it requires restraint, and restraint is rare. Be steady. Don't chase reassurance. Let silence do some of the work. In female psychology, comfort paired with mystery is far more compelling than constant availability paired with urgency. When you show that you are not trying to extract something from the moment, you become someone she wants to move toward on her own terms. This is how to fall in love without forcing it, by allowing attraction to expand at its own pace instead of compressing it with expectations. A woman who initiates a hug is often checking emotional alignment. She is sensing whether you can stay relaxed when things feel good, because anyone can be calm when nothing is happening. But it takes maturity to remain centered when connection appears. Don't overinterpret. Don't rush meaning. Be grounded in who you are. That is what makes you magnetic. When you tolerate uncertainty without trying to influence the result, you quietly communicate depth and stability, qualities that linger in her mind long after the hug ends. This is where psychology tricks rooted in awareness outperform tactics rooted in control, because awareness invites reciprocity while control shuts it down. Remember this: female psychology does not open fully to pressure. It opens to safety, patience, and presence. When you embody those traits, you naturally show her how to fall in love at her own rhythm. Be the man who allows moments to exist without demanding more from them. That is not passivity. That is mastery. When you give space without withdrawing, interest has room to grow, trust has room to form, and attraction has time to become real. And that quietly and powerfully is how to fall in love the right way. 7. Meaning of space and patience. When a woman initiates the hug, pause, breathe, do not rush to label it. Do not turn it into a mission. That embrace is not a green light to pursue. It is something subtler, something richer. It is an invitation to continue being who you are, to stay centered, to make room. That is the first lesson. Space matters. Many men misunderstand this moment. They think a hug is momentum. They think it means go faster. It doesn't. It means stay steady. The hug says, I feel comfortable here, not I want you to chase me. Those are two very different messages, and confusing them changes everything. You must understand this if you want to move through the world as a high-value man. Attraction does not expand through pursuit. It expands through space. Think of attraction like a fire. Chase it too hard and you smother it. Step back just enough and it breathes. That space allows curiosity to grow. It allows desire to stretch instead of collapse. Do not rush to fill silence. Do not rush to define the moment. Be patient. Patience is not passivity. It is strength under control. It is the ability to sit with uncertainty without trying to force an outcome. Most men fail right here. They feel ambiguity and rush to escape it. They talk more. They text faster. They try to influence the result. That urgency leaks, and urgency repels. A woman initiating a hug is often testing emotional safety, not romantic speed. She is asking, without words, can this man remain himself when nothing is guaranteed? Your answer is not spoken. It is felt. Be grounded. Be calm. Be present. This is where masculine energy quietly speaks. Not loudly, not forcefully. Calm presence is its language. When you do not rush, when you do not push, when you allow space to exist, you communicate confidence without saying a word. You show that your sense of self does not depend on immediate validation. That is attractive. Think about this metaphor. Attraction is like the tide. You cannot pull it in with your hands. You let the moon do its work. Space and patience are the moon. They move things naturally, without effort, without strain. If you want to attract women, you must stop trying to manage every moment. Let moments breathe. Let interactions unfold. Trust that what is meant to move forward will do so without pressure. A hug she initiates can also mean appreciation, warmth, emotional recognition. It may have nothing to do with romance at all, and that is okay. A high-value man does not panic when things are undefined. He does not demand clarity too soon. He understands that clarity arrives when it is ready. Do not interrogate the moment. Do not overinterpret the signal. Be steady. When you can tolerate not knowing, something powerful happens. You become magnetic. Why? Because most people are uncomfortable with open space. They rush to close it. When you don't, you stand out. You communicate maturity. You communicate self-trust. That is rare. This patience also protects you. It keeps you from investing too quickly. It keeps you from projecting fantasies onto someone who has simply offered warmth. You stay rooted in reality. You observe. You feel. You respond instead of react. That is leadership of the self. And self-leadership is at the core of masculine energy. Not control of others, control of your own impulses, your own pace, your own emotional center. A woman feels that. She feels when a man is not trying to pull something from her. She feels when he is complete without needing the moment to become more. That sense of ease creates trust. Trust creates openness. Openness allows attraction to grow naturally. Do not confuse patience with indifference. You can be warm. You can be kind, you can be engaged, but do not collapse into neediness. Hold your ground. Stay curious, not hungry. Here is the truth many men miss. The ability to handle ambiguity is deeply attractive. When you can sit in uncertainty without anxiety, you signal inner abundance. You signal that your life is full, that you are choosing connection, not chasing it. That is how you attract women without effort. Let her initiate moments when she wants to. Let her come closer at her own pace. Your role is not to accelerate. Your role is to remain consistent, calm, authentic. Be the man who does not rush the story. Be the man who allows chapters to unfold. Be the man who trusts the process. A hug is a moment. Nothing more, nothing less. Receive it with gratitude. Then return to yourself. Stay centered. Stay patient. Space is not absence. Space is possibility. And when you master that, you move through the world as a high-value man, grounded in masculine energy, effortlessly able to attract women, not by pursuit, but by presence. 8. Lasting imprint and rarity. When a woman initiates a hug, understand this clearly and decisively. No confusion, no guessing. Something inside her has already shifted. Not a promise, not a commitment. Awareness, a quiet moment of recognition. Her body registered something, And the body does not lie. Instinct always moves faster than logic. That first hug, when it comes from her, is not a social gesture. It is a signal that her nervous system felt safety, connection, and emotional alignment in your presence. Once that signal is registered, it leaves an imprint. That imprint does not disappear, even if she later steps back, even if life intervenes, even if timing becomes complicated, the imprint remains. It always does. Maya Angelou said it best. People will never forget how you made them feel. People may forget words, they may forget actions, but they never forget feelings. A hug she initiates is proof that, in that moment, you created something real. A man who understands old Stoic wisdom does not cling to that feeling. He does not doubt it. He does not test it. He acknowledges it. He respects it. And he keeps moving forward. Stoicism win is not about controlling others. It is about controlling yourself, mastering your reactions, holding your inner axis steady. In modern life, full of noise, pressure, and distraction, a genuine hug is rare. It stands out. It carries weight. Because touch is the last truly honest language. Do not overanalyze it. Do not attach to it. Do not challenge it. Iron mind means you receive the information calmly. No excitement, no anxiety. Then you continue building your life with purpose, with direction, with values. Confidence grows in silence, not in the search for reassurance. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In this context, the message is simple. Do not react emotionally. Do not seek validation. Do not ask again for what you already felt. You received the signal. Let it rest. Let it work on its own. Old Stoic wisdom teaches that what is freely given always carries more value than what is demanded. A hug she initiates is freely given energy. In a world obsessed with fast answers and instant certainty, your advantage is patience. Stoicism win appears when you don't rush meaning, when you allow meaning to reveal itself. Iron mind is choosing calm over excitement, clarity over fantasy, stability over dependence. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." Freedom here means not being ruled by overthinking or fear of loss. If she felt it once, it exists. If it exists, it does not need to be chased. Hold your frame. Keep moving forward. Master your emotions. That is how you win in modern relationships. That is Stoicism win in real life. That is how an iron mind turns a simple hug into quiet confidence, a lasting imprint, and personal victory. Hey, my friend, thank you for staying until the very end of this video. Honestly, when it comes to emotions, the most powerful thing is not doing more, saying more, or trying to hold on tighter. It's knowing when enough is enough and standing firmly in who you are. If a woman initiates the hug, it's not random. It's not a mistake. It's a real emotion in that exact moment. And when you continue living your life with purpose, direction, and emotional balance, without clinging or demanding, you become a reference point in her mind. People who make others feel safe and genuinely good are rarely forgotten. Here's my sincere advice to you. Trust your own value. Don't try to control someone else's feelings, and don't shrink yourself just to be chosen. Stay calm, clear, kind, and grounded. Even if the connection doesn't go any further, it doesn't mean it meant nothing. Some moments exist simply to remind you that you were the right version of yourself at that time. Listen to those quiet signals, because sometimes the most important things are communicated without words.